Hello my dear friends, you're in the Military with Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the Middle East. According to information we have, the leader of Iran was assassinated. Iranian authorities confirmed the death of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Furthermore, the IDF published a list of figures that they claim to have assassinated as well. Commander of the RGC Aerospace Force, head of the Iranian General Staff, Deputy for Security and Law Enforcement of the Minister of Interior, Commander of the Air Defense Forces, head of the Iran's Defense Innovation and Research Organization, head of the Intelligence Department. According to information we have, the Supreme Leader of Iran was assassinated at the beginning of the military operation against Iran. This situation took place yesterday early in the morning on the 28th of February of 2026. This is, for example, the office of the Supreme Leader of Iran, which is located almost in the central part of the city of Tehran. And this is exactly the building, the constructions that were attacked by the coalition of the United States of America and Israel at the first time during the first hours. And this is the satellite picture of this area. As you can see, this building, this micro district, this block was completely destroyed and reduced to ruins. As of now, it's very difficult to say how many missiles or bombs the coalition used for this attack, but as a result of this attack, as we understand, the Supreme Leader of Iran hasn't managed to survive. Furthermore, the Prime Minister of Israel made lots of interesting statements yesterday in the evening. Benjamin Netanyahu stated that how he called on Iranian citizens, don't miss the opportunity. Your time to take to the streets, finish the job, and overthrow the regime that is poisoning your lives. Another important thing, Prime Minister Netanyahu emphasized that this fateful operation will continue as long as necessary. This war will lead to true peace. And furthermore, the information about the successful assassination of the leader of Iran was also confirmed by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. Yesterday in the evening, he stated that Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans and those people from many countries through the world that have been killed or mutilated by Khamenei and his gang of bloodthirsty thugs. But despite the fact that the leader of Iran was assassinated yesterday in the morning on the 28th of February of 2026, we see that the Iranians struck back, and the death of the leader didn't stop the Iranians from these attacks. And during the previous 24 hours, we received lots of videos of how the Iranians were launching their missiles, their ballistic missiles, their hypersonic missiles, and the Iranians were trying to destroy as many as possible assets, military assets of the United States of America in the Middle East. So in this video we can see the ballistic missile that was launched by the Iranians. In this video we can see the ballistic missile that was flying towards Israel or towards some military base. In this video we can see also the same episode, lots of missiles and lots of signs in the sky. Furthermore, the Iranians were attacking, of course, the states, Middle East states along the Persian Gulf, and here we can see the video of how the Iranians were launching their ballistic missiles with the purpose to attack these small states. According to information we have, during the previous 24 hours, the Iranians attacked the United Arab Emirates, the Iranians attacked Qatar, Bahrain, the Iranians attacked Kuwait, the Iranians attacked the city of Erbil in the northern parts of Iraq because there is an American base, and the Iranians attacked, of course, Jordan, and they attacked lots of military bases as well. According to information we have, the Iranians were also trying to attack the Israel, but during the previous night and during the previous 24 hours, the Israelis managed to bring down or intercept most of the missiles that were launched by the Iranians. Yes, of course, probably some missiles managed to hit the target, but of course we can't compare the situation in Israel with the situation that were taking place, let's say, in the area of Qatar or or Bahrain, because as for these territories, during the previous 24 hours, we received lots of videos of how the Iranians were attacking military infrastructure of the United States of America, Navy bases, and so on. But I would like to remind that before this attack, the US authorities, military authorities, evacuated their personnel from this area with the purpose to avoid and to reduce losses and casualties among military personnel. So this is the situation. And the most important thing that today is the 1st of March of 2026, and we start receiving updates from the capital of Iran, where we can see probably thousands of people that came to the streets with just one purpose, to demand retaliation over the deaths of the leader of Iran. So we see that once again the deaths of the leader of Iran most likely won't change significantly anything. Most likely this situation, the escalation will continue, because this is not just the position of a person, of a leader of Iran, this is the position of the entire nation. Anyway, let's wait and see what is going to be next, but obviously today we'll see additional updates, more videos of explosions, of attacks, and so on. Now let's move to Ukraine. During the previous 12 hours, we received lots of very interesting updates. And first update related to the situation in Iran is that Russia and China have requested an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council over the situation surrounding Iran, according to Russia's permanent mission to the United Nations. But from the other side, several very probably well-known Russian representatives stated that the cost of oil on the global market could exceed $100 per barrel, according to, for example, Dmitriev. So this is let's say the another side of the medal, and we understand that. So from this perspective, Russians understand that most likely they will be able to get additional money to fund the conflict in Ukraine. As for Ukraine itself, the Ukraine authorities and the military authorities stated that during the previous night, the Russians attacked the territory of Ukraine with 123 drones. The Russians were attacking different positions, objects of energy and military infrastructure. Another important thing that, according to pro-Russian sources, during the previous nights, the Ukrainians also attacked the territory of Russia, but this time, and probably for the first time since the beginning of March, the Ukrainians used less than 100 of drones, which means that either the Ukrainian stockpiles are depleted, or the Ukrainians probably are waiting before the end of the situation in Iran, or at least when the media attraction would be reduced, and then the Ukrainians would begin attacking once again, because every single Ukrainian attack, first of all, is something like a media attack. So now there is no purpose, there is no need to attack deep inside of the Russian Federation, because nobody follows this situation. So that is why it seems that Ukrainians decided to make a small pause. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous night, we received lots of interesting changes, especially in the Sumy direction. It seems that the Russians are intensifying their offensive operation in this area, and the Russians are getting closer and closer to the city of Sumy itself. During the previous night, additional changes on the ground were recorded around the settlement of Yunakivka. This information was provided by pro-Russian mappers, and according to these changes, the Russians are approaching the settlements of Marina and Krapivshina. Furthermore, the Russians, as we can see, are trying to outflank the settlement of Sadki and to cut the mine supply lines that go in this direction. As you can see, there is a very big, huge forest in this area, and obviously the Russians want to take this forest under complete control. So that is why they cannot do this by attacking this forest in front, so they are trying to outflank this territory. So the battle for the second defense layer hasn't started yet, but most likely it will start very soon. Furthermore, we have changes in the area of the village of Kondrativka. This information was also published by pro-Russian sources. As you can see, the Russians are keeping advancing, and it seems that the village of Kondrativka may fall in Russia's hands very, very soon. Another important thing, and probably the most important update from the Shumi direction, is the battle for the settlement of Miropolia, which is located in the far east of the settlement of Sumy along the border. So we are talking about this settlement. During the previous night, pro-Russian sources confirmed that the armed forces of the Russian Federation launched a major offensive operation in this area, and it seems that according to these changes, the Russians, as a result of clashes, managed to answer the settlement of Miropolia from the northeast. So according to these updates, the Russians managed to capture first buildings inside of the village of Miropolye from the east, and the Russians are keeping advancing. This is a very important piece of news because we see that the Russians are attacking the city of Sumy from at least three directions: the northern direction, the eastern direction, and the southeastern direction, where during January and February of 2026 the Russians improved their position significantly in the Krasnopolye direction. So let's wait and see what is going to be next, but obviously during the early spring and mid-spring we'll see more updates from this area, and most likely the Russians will be able to approach the city of Sumy before the end of 2027 or even earlier. Now let's discuss the situation in the Kharkiv direction. During the previous nights and during the previous evening, explosions were recorded inside of the city. The sources are saying that the Russians attacked the city with ground drones. Furthermore, I would like to remind you that yesterday we received the report that Russians managed to capture the settlement of Neskuchne, and based on the yesterday's report of the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, we adjusted the map. Furthermore, the Russians began attacking this forest to the west and the southwest of the settlement of Neskuchne. Lots of videos were published by Russians how they were attacking Ukrainian forces in this area, which means that now the Russians are tasked to maintain the line between the settlements of Lukyantsy and Neskuchne, so to improve their positions and to keep advancing further in the southern direction towards the main supply line. And the most important thing is that the Russians improved their positions around the settlement of Staritsa and along the border. So these territories were also captured by Russia. It seems that the Russians are finishing the battle for this big forest along the border. The Russians in this area are tasked with the similar tasks to establish complete control and to create a common, let's say, foothold on the Ukrainian side of the border between the Russian Federation and Ukraine itself, and from this foothold to keep advancing further in the southwestern direction towards the city of Kharkiv. The Russians are tasked to force the Ukrainians to remove their multiple launch rocket systems and the launch rocket systems from the city of Kharkiv further in the southwestern direction, which, according to the Russians, will reduce the pressure on the city of Belgorod, because the Ukrainians continue attacking the city of Belgorod, and during the previous night we received additional updates that several objects of energy infrastructure were hit once again. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Liman direction. During the previous night, additional changes were recorded around the village of Yarova. For example, yesterday we had changes in the area of Drobushova. Today we have changes in the area of Yarova. So based on these updates, we see that the Russians are finalizing the battle for the territory along this red line. So the Russians are about to improve their positions and to take under complete control everything along this red line, which will lead to complete collapse, probably automatic collapse of the defenses of the city of Liman, and which will improve the Russian positions towards the city of Slaviansk from the north. As for the eastern Slavian direction, during the previous nights we haven't received almost anything. The Russians were bombing and attacking positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in the area of the settlement of Riznikovka, and the Russians attacked positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in the area of the settlement of Fedorovka Druga, but without significant changes. Let's discuss the situation in the area of the city of Constantinivka. The Russians are trying to break through Ukraine's defense in the south and the southwestern parts of the city. I would like to remind you that almost a week ago the Russians destroyed the dam in this area. That led to huge problems to the Ukraine's logistics, but we see that today, the 1st of March of 2026, the first day of spring, and we see that still the Russians haven't managed to break through Ukraine's defense in the southern and the southwestern parts of the city, which means that Ukrainians are still holding the lines, and the Ukrainians are doing everything they can with the purpose not to allow the Russians to establish complete control over the territory of the city of Constantinivka. Now let's discuss the situation in the Zaporizhzhia direction. During the previous night, additional changes on the ground were recorded in the area of the village of Grishina. This information was provided by pro-Ukrainian sources. According to them, the gray zone was expanded further in the northwestern direction on the territory of the city of the village, which means that the Russians are keeping infiltration further in the northwestern direction, and the Russians are about to take under complete control the settlement. And if it happens, of course, this can lead to unpredictable consequences, because from these positions Russians will be able to keep advancing further in the southwestern direction and of course in the northeastern direction towards the city of Zaporizhzhia from the southwest. As for the Zaporizhzhia direction, during the previous night, nothing was recorded. So there are very heavy clashes according to sources, but as you can see, without changes. And that's it for the short video. The Military with Summary channel reminds that we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye-bye.